when you murder a village of 500 people, or you know that a village of 500 people has been murdered in one afternoon, in one morning. It's pretty tough to evade the reality of that and the implications of that. One of my friends, when he told me about it, said, you know, it was this Nazi kind of thing. And that's exactly right. It was this Nazi kind of thing. And we didn't go there to be Nazis. At least none of the people I knew went there to be Nazis. I didn't go there to be a Nazi.
News of the massacre finally broke in November 1969. In the United States, initial incredulity quickly turned to shame and national anguish. As the inquiries and trials began, the men of Charlie Company emerged to public view. Sergeant David Mitchell, accused of shooting people at the ditch site in My Lai.
Well, I'm not guilty.
Charlie Company's commanding officer, Captain Ernest Medina.
I can further say that I did not see any slaughter at My Lai 4 that day, and none was reported to me. And I'll further state that I did not order any massacre at My Lai 4.
Lieutenant William Calley, originally charged with 109 murders. Calley came to embody the issues at the heart of the case. His defense that he was just following orders evoked disturbing comparisons with the Nazi defense at Nuremberg. Meanwhile, Army investigators had returned to My Lai as a part of a massive inquiry that left the facts of the massacre beyond dispute. The original list of charges drawn up by the Army's Criminal Investigations Department left no doubt about the nature of Charlie Company's operation in My Lai.
Based on the original documents that we received as a result of our investigations, it was a massacre. It was a violation of all the rules of land warfare that I've ever known in my life, because it was just cold-blooded killing of people who appeared to be defenseless civilians.
But America was still deeply divided by the war itself, and the men of Charlie Company soon found public opinion swinging to their defense.
All I can say is thank you all very much, each and every one of you that has supported me, and also those that are supporting the men still over in Vietnam and the United States Army. Thank you very much.
There was a change in the public attitude. Now they say, wait a minute, you shouldn't be prosecuting soldiers for just carrying out their duties. All of a sudden, the public sentiment had swung the other direction. And when Calley's sentence was announced, his conviction and sentence was announced, there was an outcry.
In the end, the Army decided not to prosecute most of the 46 soldiers seriously investigated for crimes at My Lai. William Calley was the only man ever convicted. Today, Calley runs a jewelry store in Columbus, Georgia. He does not give interviews about My Lai. At his court-martial, these were his last words of explanation to his judges.
If I have committed a crime, the only crime that I have committed is in judgment of my values. Apparently, I valued my troops' lives more than I did that of the enemy. When my troops were getting massacred and mauled by an enemy I couldn't see, I couldn't feel, and I couldn't touch, that nobody in the military system ever described as anything other than communism. They didn't give it a race, they didn't give it a sex, they didn't give it an age. They never let me believe it was just a philosophy in a man's mind. And that was my enemy out there. And when it became between me and that enemy, I had to value the lives of my troops. And I feel that is the only crime I have committed.
William Calley served only 3 days in the stockade before President Nixon released him into house arrest pending appeal. 3 years after his original life sentence, he was released on parole, a free man.
These people were tortured by this. They were kids, 18, 19 years old. Most of them had never been away from home before they went to the service. And they end up in Vietnam. And in a moment, following orders in a context in which they've been trained, prepared to follow orders, they do what they're told, and they shouldn't have, and they look back a day later and realize that they probably made the biggest mistake of their life. There are only a few people who were in those circumstances who had the presence of mind and the strength of their own character that would see them through that circumstance. Most people didn't. And for most of them, even people that I personally just was stunned to discover that they'd made the wrong choice, they did. And they had to live with it. They have to live with it. And so do I. So do we all.
I take 1,200 milligrams every 4 hours, 4 times a day, of drugs and medication. I have to take it. I need it. That's the only thing that held me somewhat stable. Not as nervous. I stay nervous, even with the medication. But if I don't take it, I just go off. But the medication helps me. It really helps me. Even though I still have a tendency to think that of hurting someone. My little boy playing in my grandmother's front yard. Here in Jackson, at his grandmother's house. There were some teenagers across the street got into an argument. It was 14 and 15. And one went home and got a gun. And the other one just ran in the direction where my little boy was playing. And he shot him in the head. I was in the house. And I came out and picked him up. But he was already dead. He was dying. So when I looked at him, his face looked like the same face of the child that I had killed. And I said, this is the punishment for me killing the people that I killed. And when the picture that they had his funeral. I got back from the funeral that night. That's the way it cracked. And I left it like that. It just cracked.
Do you think this really dreadful condition that you're in, this terrible life that you're leading, do you think it's ever going to come to an end?
Yeah, when I kill myself. Yeah, to come to an end.
Are you ashamed or sorry for what you've done?
Yes, I'm ashamed. I'm sorry. I'm guilty. But I did it. You know, what else can I tell you? It happened. You're looking at someone that did it. It can happen if you go to war. Those are the type of things will happen. It can happen to anyone. After they train you and they program you, it can happen. It happens. That's reality. That's what war is. War is not something that I shoot at you, you shoot at me. Well, we take time out. You know, well, don't shoot me here, don't shoot at you. The war is war. It's killing in all type of ways. And that's why we don't need another war.
Don't be walking up to that man's back. Keep that distance. I told you what it was. Hey, keep your head and eyes straight to the front. Why, you seem like you can't hang? Keep that distance. Hold that weapon up.